I'm going to make a great little pasta dish with snapper. It's really easy to do, and it just starts with some onions. These are red onions that I've popped in my pan here, and they're starting to sweat off nice and gently. Now, the other thing I'm going to do now is pop my pasta in the water. This is curly fettuccine. It's nice and long and has a really nice texture as well when you eat it. Now, my pot of water is on, so I'll add some salt to it. I like plenty of salt in there. And in goes the curly fettuccine. Have a look at that shape. Fantastic. Now, when you put pasta in, it's really important for the first minute or so, you stir it around a little bit. Pasta, when it goes into the boiling water, wants to stick together. It wants to stick to the bottom of the pot. So if you just take a minute or so at the start, just to give it a stir nice and gently, to keep it separated as that water starts to soften the pasta and get it cooking. You can see it's all under the water now, so it's coming along beautifully. Now over here, the onions are already starting to soften up. So I'll add just a little pinch of salt to the onions, which helps to soften them up, and some pepper. I've got a couple of cloves of garlic here, and what I'll do is slice them nice and thin all the way through. And as I get to the end of it, I put it down so I can slice it. It's a good idea when you are slicing things like onions or anything that's got a little bit of a roundness to it, you put it on a flat surface so that it doesn't roll over and you don't cut yourself. Really, really important. In goes the garlic. And you can see I've got it on a fairly gentle heat. And once the garlic goes in here, you can really start to smell it. Now, anchovy is one of those ingredients that you either love or hate. I love anchovy, so I'm going to put a heap of it in here. If you don't like anchovy, don't put it in at all. But as you cook the anchovy in the oil, it starts to fall apart and gives it a really nice fishy flavour. Another ingredient I like to add is capers. These are baby capers that have been preserved in brine. I just wash them off a little bit to get that saltiness of them. And I've got about a quarter of a cup or 2 or 3 tablespoons. In they go. The smell here is incredible. The anchovy, the garlic, the onion, the olive oil, all coming together beautifully. Now, as it's starting to cook, I add herbs to make it even more delicious. This is thyme that's come fresh from the garden, and you can see it's flowering, so it's got a really, really nice smell to it. I just grab the tops of them, which is nice and soft, and pop them straight into the bottom. As I said before, it's all about layering up those flavours. Smells fantastic. Now, another thing I like to add is butter. Now, butter makes everything delicious. So a couple of blocks of butter in here that'll melt and go all the way through it. And that will make the sauce. But to add more flavour, I've got some lovely pieces of snapper here. So in it goes. And I've cut it into little pieces of dice, removed all the bone and the skin, and this will cook really quickly. I'll add some salt and pepper just to add a little bit of flavour to the snapper. And I've got it down nice and low. This won't take very long at all to cook. But another thing I like to add to a dish like this is some white wine. A little splush of white wine to help give it even more flavour. Now, at this stage here, I'm going to add the pasta. I reckon the pasta's about half cooked, but what I want the pasta to do is to soak up the juices from the pan, all that liquid. Now, that'll cook the pasta the rest of the way through, but make that pasta really, really flavoursome as well. So pop that straight in there like that. Now, when you add the pasta like this, you've got to make sure that you toss the pasta in that liquid or stir it around with a spoon so that it picks up all that flavour beautifully. And while that's starting to come up to the boil, it's a great time to get your herbs ready. Keep an eye on the pasta, a couple of minutes, herbs will be ready, and I'll show you how to bring this together. Okay, it's coming together beautifully. You can hear that little sizzle going on. That's the last bit of liquid being soaked up by that pasta. So in goes the herbs, the chives and the dill. You could use parsley in here as well. A little bit of rosemary would work really well also. And I'll just fold those herbs through that pasta there. That looks fantastic and smells really good. You've got the wine in there and the capers are really starting to shine, that acidity. And you just grab some of that, pop it onto the plate here, and then a few pieces of snapper over the top with the herbs. That looks fantastic. Lots of herbs in there is really important. It gives it great colour, but also that fresh flavour as well. And to really make it shine, I've got some lemon zest over the top, and that gives it some fantastic fresh lemon flavour. Now we need to taste it to make sure it's fantastic. Not that it isn't. The snapper's cooked beautifully, and a little taste of that pasta, and make sure that it's soaked up all those juices. That tastes delicious. There's a tip. A couple of minutes before the pasta's ready, you take it out, pop it into the pan, and let it soak up those juices. And if you do that, it'll taste as good as this.